Hi, I'm Laurence Juber. I grew up in London, England, and I started playing guitar in November of 1963, my 11th birthday. It was the height of Beatlemania in England, just a few months before America received the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. And I picked up the guitar, and to be honest, nearly 50 years later, I've never put it down. At least not for more than, a few moments, essentially. By the time I was 13, I realized that I could make money doing it. And it certainly beat babysitting, working at the supermarket on Saturdays, or washing my neighbor's car. But I learned a lot of what I learned on the bandstand. I learned, from older musicians, playing weddings, playing all kinds of stuff, and then, subsequently with top 40 bands and prog rock bands as a teenager. But my ambition was to be a studio musician. That was the goal. And I learned to read music. I studied music theory. I studied all styles of guitar. I learned classical guitar. I played jazz. I played rock. I wanted to be both Eric Clapton and Joe Pass at the same time, with a liberal dose of Julian Bream, and also the folk players like the early Bob Dylan stuff, Paul Simon, the English folk baroque school, people like John Remborn and Bert Jansch, for example. I then started working professionally in London, went to college, went to London University, studied music, was a member of the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, which taught me some very adult chords. I think I learned my jazz license from that experience. While I was in college, I would go play in the West End, playing Jesus Christ Superstar for a week, or Hair, or one or other of the musicals. Leaving college, I went straight into being a studio player, playing on hundreds of sessions in an era in the 1970s when there was still a great deal of studio work. And that really led me into playing in Wings. I was working on a TV show for an artist named David Essex. Denny Lane from Wings was a guest on the show. I played guitar for him. He liked my playing, recommended me to Paul and Linda, and I went and did an audition. I didn't really think of it as an audition. I had borrowed some Wings LPs from my brother. My record collection tended more towards Mahavishnu Orchestra and Larry Carlton and, kind of the more fusion-oriented stuff. But I was, an inveterate listener to pop music, so I had an ear for what worked in that context, and of course was a big Beatle fan. Went and did an audition. We played some reggae grooves, some Chuck Berry stuff, and they offered me the gig. I think I fit the suit more than anything else. Fantastic experience for me. I got my master's in music from McCartney University. I learned about record production. I learned about writing. I learned about the business of music. I certainly learned about getting up on very large stages with very famous musicians. It was an all-round education. And it allowed me also to have a really solid credit to when I moved to America, when Wings folded in the early 80s through New York and then to LA. It gave me just an awful lot of experience on many levels. And at that time was when I started writing music for myself and started realizing that my hobby of ragtime and fingerstyle guitar that I'd always kind of enjoyed as a teenager, but which took really kind of second place to my ambitions as a studio musician. That started to become really front and center for me. And so from the early 80s, I started writing, arranging, and developing some technique. And by 1990, I was offered a record deal and started putting out solo records. And then it just kind of developed from there. I became interested in altered tunings around 1992, Dagad in particular, and you'll find some lessons here that really kind of communicate to you my experience as a Dagad guitarist, but also as a trained musician, of finding that nexus of the two, of the guitar, its tuning, and also the musicality of it. And then I think it was around 2000, year 2000, I became involved with marching guitars through Dick Boak, and I ordered a custom shop model, which was my mahogany OM18, what I describe as the Uber Juber, because it led to a series of signature models. And now, and this being the latest incarnation of it, and I think the last incarnation, I've learned what I needed to learn from trying different woods, and I've developed quite a passion for wood and the tonality of wood in this process. But more than anything else, it's been a quest for my ultimate performance instrument, because I now do 80 to 100 concerts a year. Still do some studio work. Over the years, I've played on hundreds of TV shows, movies, some Academy Award-winning movies like Good Will Hunting, Pocahontas, The Big Chill. Also on Emmy-winning TV shows like Home Improvement and Roseanne. I have 2 Grammys to speak of my own. It's been quite an amazing process for me, establishing myself as a fingerstyle soloist, as an American studio musician, as a concert performer. And now I think, as I look toward the future, I appreciate the fact that you're indulging me in my newfound interest, which is that of a teacher, that I just enjoy the process of communicating what I do, because I learn from that. And I hope that you do too, and that you sharing this experience will lead to us to be able to have a fairly deep musical and guitaristic dialogue, because I feel that I've learned a lot over the years, and there's still more to learn, and I enjoy the process of communicating it. So hopefully I can inspire you to progress. It's always hard work. It's not, you don't wake up in the morning and everything's under your fingers. It takes practice. It takes persistence. I did not come into this with a natural gift for technique. You can go to YouTube and you'll find 2-year-olds that have amazing technique, but where I come from is experience and musicality, and that's what I'm hoping to communicate to you. So again, welcome, and thank you very much.